Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to see the summary on the Code on Wages 2019. This is a topic in your EPFO syllabus. So let us get started. So the objective of this code is the Code on Wages 2019 was brought to amalgamate, to simplify and to rationalize four major labor laws relating to wages. What are those four major labor laws? First one is Payment of Wages Act 1936. Second one is Minimum Wages Act 1948. Third one is Payment of Bonus Act 1965. And fourth one is Equal Remuneration Act 1976. So these are the wages which are subsumed and have been amalgamated into the Code on Wages 2019. What was the purpose of this amalgamation, this simplification and rationalization of these four laws? It is to ensure the minimum and timely payment of wages, to ensure equal remuneration, to ensure the standardization of definitions and authorities, and to ensure that there is technological transparency and accountability in the process. Now we'll read about the salient features of this act known as Code on Wages 2019. So the features. First one feature is it applies to all employments, whether it is organized or unorganized sector, it will be applicable to all employments. So in the first place, in the first instance, this sentence might look to some of us that this is an extreme statement, but this is correct. That is, it applies to all employments, whether it is organized or unorganized sector. Second one, uniform definition of wages. There is a uniform and simple, clear definition given to wages. Third one, floor wage. Floor wage will be set by central government, but state governments cannot fix below it. Okay, there is a threshold that will be set by central governments and state governments cannot fix below it. Fourth one is digital payment allowed. Now, apart from check, bank transfer and electronic mode is also allowed. Next one is applicable to all employees. There is no wage ceiling that the person who is getting more than this amount, they will only be coming under the fold of this code. No, it is not so. It is applicable to all employees and there is no ceiling on wage. Sixth one is inspector cum facilitator. So the inspector will also facilitate, and this has been brought to replace traditional inspectors who were doing the task of inspection only. Now they will facilitate also, and this change will promote transparency in the system. Next one is advisory board. Now the advisory board will be set up at central and state levels also for wage related advice. Next one is burden of proof. So the burden of proof for wage or bonus payment will be on the employer, that yes, we have given the wage or bonus payment to the employee. Okay. Next one is graded penalties. If there is any contravention, then the penalties are classified into grades. Okay, there is no uniform penalty, so it is obvious. We'll see more on this later on. Next one, all four previous wage related acts are repealed now in the year 2019 with the implementation of this Code on Wages 2019. Now there are some chapters in this code that we'll read about. The first chapter is covering preliminary things, for example definitions, scope of the code, and what are the provisions related to gender equality. The second chapter will talk about minimum wages. These chapters are also very important, and while listening to the video you can also simultaneously write it so that it can it can have a long lasting impact on your mind and memory. Okay, so the second chapter is talking about minimum wages. Third chapter is talking about payment of wages. Okay, fourth chapter talks about payment of bonus. Fifth advisory board that we read, that it will be established both at center and state level also. Sixth one is dues, claims and audits. Three things we have to remember: dues, claims and audit. DAC, DAC. Sixth one is DAC. Okay, so seventh one that we read, that earlier the position was of only inspector, but now the inspector will also facilitate. So this chapter is brought into seventh one. Now eighth one chapter talks about offenses and penalties, that we read that penalty is graded. Okay, it is graded penalty. Now ninth one will give some miscellaneous things like rules, repeals and savings. Okay, so we have total 9 chapters in this code, and we have to remember the important one. For example, as I can see, the definition is also important. So the chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7th one and 8th one also is important. So the chapter list is not that exhaustive. We can memorize it easily. Next one is key provision. Yeah, and there is one more thing, that while making this PDF I have tried to accommodate some UPSC style MCQs also from this chapter, from this code, the whole code. So we will do it after we will complete the summary of this code. So chapter 1 we already saw, it talks about preliminary. So what will be consisting of this preliminary thing? So the first thing is short title, extent and commencement. For example, it will be applicable to whole of India and it is enforced by central government notification. Okay, next one is the definition of wages. So what is the meaning of what is the definition of wages in this chapter? Wages means basic pay, DA and RA. Okay, 3 things. The wages will include basic pay, dearness allowance and retaining allowance also. Now this definition says that from the fold of wages there are certain things which are being excluded now, and those are bonus, house rent allowance, conveyance, gratuity, PF contribution, overtime, commission, retrenchment and compensation. So we have to remember what the wages include and what the wages does not include. Okay, we have to remember this fact. This is very, very important. Now the MCQ on this can be, which of the following is not included in wages under the code on wages 2019? So we already know it includes basic pay, dearness allowance and retaining allowance. So clearly house rent allowance is not included over here. Okay, next one. In the first chapter only, there is a section that says prohibition of discrimination on gender. So there will be no discrimination in wages or recruitment based on gender. This is something very positive about this chapter. Chapter number 2. Chapter number 2 talks about minimum wages. So there are certain sections into it. The first one is no employer shall pay below the minimum wages, and that is fixed by appropriate government. Okay, next one is appropriate government, whether it is state or center, it will fix the minimum wages for time or piece of work. Okay, next one is floor wage. Floor wage there is a certain rule that it will be fixed by central government only. Only the central government has the power to fix the floor wage for different geographical areas, and state government cannot fix below it. Next one is factors for fixation. So what are the factors that the government is taking into account while deciding minimum wage or floor wage? That is, first one, skill level. Okay, whether the employee is unskilled or highly skilled. Okay, next one is arduousness of work and third one is geographical area. Okay, so these are three factors that are being considered while fixing the minimum wage and floor wage. Okay, next one is overtime wages. So overtime wages can will be at least twice the normal rate. Okay, uh, that is doguna, two times the normal rate. Sixth one is payment for short working day or piece work ensured. Okay, so these all are the things that are given under the chapter 2 minimum wages. Now the question, who fixes the floor wage under the code on wages 2019? So the floor wage clearly is set by central government, as we already saw two times earlier. Now the next chapter is chapter number 3, payment of wages. In that, certain things are given. First one is mode of payment. Mode of payment, as we already saw, it has been the it has been enhanced and extended to digital mode also. First of all, we can they can pay on cash also, they can pay in checks also, and in electronic mode also, which means digital payment is also allowed now. Second one is wage period. Wage period cannot exceed 1 month. Okay, after 1 month you have to pay the employee. Next one is time limit. So monthly wages means by 7th of next month you have to give it. So certain organizations, certain institutions are giving salaries on 10th of every month. That is really something arbitrary. Okay, they are paying on 10th. That is arbitrary. Why? Because the government rules say that monthly wages should be given by 7th of next month. Okay, on removal or resignation within 2 working days, the wages should be paid to the employee. Now next one is authorized deductions. For fines, you cannot cut less than or for fines you should cut less than or equal to 3% of wages. Okay, not more than that. And for how many things deductions can be done? First one is fine, second one is absence from duty, third one is damage or loss due to employees negligence, fourth one is house or accommodation. If the organization is providing housing or any accommodation, then certain deductions can be done. Next one is provident fund. If the money is being contributed to PF, then also income tax, court orders, trade union fees, etc. So even if the deductions are more, the total deduction should not be more than 50% of wages. It should always be equal to or less than 50% of the wages. I hope it is clear. Now, what is the maximum limit on total deductions from wages in a wage period? So that is your 50%. I hope it is clear by now. Next one is chapter number 4, payment of bonus. The first one is, so the chapter number 4 talks about payment of bonus. First one is eligibility. Who is eligible for the payment of bonus? So wages the eligibility we were saying. So the eligibility limit will be notified by appropriate government. Okay, eligibility will be decided on the basis of wages, and on the basis of wages the limit will be notified by appropriate government, whether it is center or state. Okay, now minimum bonus, how much bonus you can give means minimum bonus, that is 8.33% of rupees 100, whichever is higher. Okay, sorry, 8.33% of wages or rupees 100, whichever is higher and not lower. Here the higher one will be considered. Okay, next one is maximum bonus is 20% of wages. Okay, bonus will be based on allocable surplus and proportionate reduction for employees not working full year. So when you are paying for bonus, you can also make some reductions and deductions proportionately if the employee did not work for full year. Next one is disqualification. Certain people can be disqualified from the payment of bonus also if they have done any kind of fraud or misconduct in the organization. Next one is time limit for payment. So within 8 months of accounting year, the payment of bonus should be done. Next one is public sector establishment will give payment of bonus only if they are notified for that. Okay. Now the MCQ. What is the maximum statutory bonus payable under the code on wages? That is 20%. We already saw. This is your minimum or 8.33 percentage of wages or rupees 100. That is your minimum criteria. Okay. Next one is chapter number 5. Chapter number 5 talks about advisory board. So the advisory board will be established by central and state also to advise on wages, women employment and related issues. So we have to remember only one thing, that's advisory board is on the central on the central level also and the state level also. Chapter number 6 talks about dues, claims and audits. We saw already that chapter number 6 is DAC, dues, audit and claims. So employer responsible for payment of all dues is included here, and claims, if they want to file for any claim, then they have to file it within 3 years. Earlier this was having 6 months to 2 years. Now the time period has been increased, and now it is extended till 3 years. Within 3 years you can file your claim also. Next one, audit of employers accounts if not a company as per rules. You can do the audit of employers accounts as per rules given under the code. Now what is the limitation period for filing claims under the code on wages 2019? That is your 3 years, and earlier it was, the bracket was from 6 months to 2 years. Now chapter number 7th, inspector cum facilitator. Before 2019 the post was having only for inspector. So now this chapter number 7 is replacing old inspectors, and now the rule has been enhanced. Now the person will do inspection plus he or she will guide also for the compliance. So in a way the person will do the work of inspector as well as of facilitator. This person may call for information or inspect premises also. Chapter number 8 talks about offenses and penalties. So there are graded penalties depending on the gravity of the sin or the mistake. Okay. Next one is offense by company. So both company and person in charge are liable now. Okay, not only person but the companies can also be charged as liable for the offenses. Next one, compounding allowed for offenses not involving imprisonment up to 50% of maximum fine. Okay. Okay, if some person has done some mistake, some offense which does not consider imprisonment, in that there is no provision for imprisonment, then the fine should be compounded in such cases. Chapter number 9 talks about miscellaneous. Bar of suits for matters covered under the code. Bar of suits. Second one, protection for acts in good faith. Burden of proof, that we already saw, it lies on employer for payment of dues. So chapter number 9 talks about these two things. Now we know that this code on wages 2019 has repealed certain acts also. We already saw Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, and Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Now, how these all four things have been repealed? For that, Section 6 of General Clauses Act 1897 has applied to repeal. Power to remove difficulties within 3 years of commencement. Okay, now on this chapter only, on this code only, on the summary of this code, I have tried to incorporate 30 MCQs, and now we will try to read all of them. Okay, the first one is, the Code on Wages 2019 subsumes which of the following earlier acts? The answer is Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, and there is one more act, Payment of Bonus Act 1965. So in that, D will be the answer, and the Payment of Bonus Act 1965. Yeah. Second one is, under the Code on Wages, wages does not include wage will include basic pay, dinner allowance, and retaining allowance. So it will not include house rent allowance. Next one, which authority fixes the floor wage under the Code on Wages? It is central government. The central government notifies floor wages below which states cannot go. That we already saw. The maximum total deductions from wages in a wage period other than fines can be maximum, that is your 50%. If an employee is terminated or resigns, the employer must pay the wages within, we already saw, it is 2 working days. What is the minimum bonus as per Code on Wages for eligible employees? What is the minimum bonus as per Code on Wages for eligible employees? That is 8.33% of wages, or 100 rupees, whichever is higher. Next one, the maximum bonus payable under Code on Wages is 20%. Next one, the time limit for filing a claim under the Code on Wages is 3 years. Next one, the role of inspector cum facilitator under the code is both inspection plus facilitation. So the post replaces traditional inspector with a hybrid role. Okay, which one of the following is not a ground for permissible deduction from wages? Income tax was there, PF contribution was there, accommodation was there, voluntary charity by employee is not there. So it is not an authorized deduction under the law. Next one, under the code, if an employee works for fewer hours than the normal working day, not by his or her willingness, then he or she is entitled to work for fewer hours than the normal working day. Then he or she is entitled to full working day. So explanation says that he shall be paid for full day if the shortfall is due to employer's failure. That is a very important question, I feel. Next one, which chapter of the Code on Wages deals with the minimum wages? That is your chapter number 2. Chapter number 1 talks about preliminary things, for example, like definition, short title, text, and everything. Chapter number 2 talks about minimum wages. Chapter number 3 talks about I think floor wages, if I can recall it properly. And chapter number 4 talks about payment of bonus, I guess. And if I am not wrong, then I think chapter number 2 only includes this floor wage, this minimum wage also, and floor wage also. And chapter number 3 talks about payment of wages. Here payment of bonus, and it is payment of wages. Yeah, so the first one is preliminary things, second one is minimum wages, third one is payment of wages, and fourth one is payment of bonus. Next one, the burden of proof for payment of wages, bonus, or dues lies on the, we already saw, it is employer. Next one, the code prohibits discrimination in employment or wages based on gender. There will be no discrimination based on gender. Next one, which of the following is excluded from the term wages under the code? See, bonus, basic pay was there, returning allowance was there, bonus will not be there because we already saw in the excluded list. Bonus is not there in the definition of wages under the code that is given under chapter number 1, right? Overtime wages are also included in the wages. Next one, for payment of wages monthly, the employer must pay wages by 7th day of next month. Okay. Next one, if an employer contravenes provision of the code involving imprisonment, then compounding of offense is allowed up to, that is 50% of fine. Okay. The Central and State Advisory Board under the code advise on, the Central and State Advisory Boards under the code advise on minimum wages fixation, yes, equal remuneration, employment of women, in short, all of the above. An employer can pay wages via cash, check, or electronic mode. Which of the following act is not repealed by the code on wages? We already saw Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Only 4 acts have been repealed, and Maternity Benefit Act 1967 has not been repealed. It is outside the scope of wage laws and it is not repealed. The code on wages came into force from, the answer is 1st April 2021. Although the code was brought in 2019 only, but due to certain problems and hue and cry into the among the public, it came into force from 1st April 2021 only. In case of piece rate work, minimum wages must be fixed by, piece rate work if you are doing, then minimum wages must be fixed by time rate or piece rate. Time rate or piece rate, okay? Either or both. The appropriate government for fixing minimum wage is, the appropriate government for fixing minimum wage is, you already know that, central or state government, whichever is applicable. But in case of floor wage, it is central government only. An employee earning above a certain ceiling is excluded from bonus under Old Payment of Bonus Act. Under the code, is there such ceiling? No, there is no ceiling. There is no such ceiling for wage when it comes to payment of bonus. Next one is the maximum bonus 20% is computed on, that is wages. 20% of wages, that is the only thing. 20% of wages. 26. A public sector establishment is required to pay bonus only if it is specifically notified under the bonus provisions. We already saw it was written in the bracket. The code on wages provides that rules can be made and difficulties removed within. The code on wages provides that rules can be made and difficulties removed within 3 years. Sorry. Which of the following statements is incorrect regarding the code on wages? It ensures that wage period cannot exceed 1 month. That is true. After 1 month, you have to pay. Second, it allows payment of wages via digital mode. That is also correct. It allows any deduction even beyond 50% if employee consent. That is wrong. only 20% is the maximum deduction you can do. And it imposes gender non-discrimination in pay. Very, yeah, correct, it is correct, it is non-discrimination, there is no discrimination based on gender, so the C will be the right answer. If an employer delays payment of wages beyond the stipulated time, he or she is liable for both interest and fine. Okay, the decision as to the decision as to dispute of same or similar nature of work is provided under section 4. So we already saw that chapter number 8 talks about offenses and penalties. So in that you will see that section number 4 says that the decision of dispute that is of same or similar nature of work is given. Now there are some quick revision I have given here. So we'll try to recall fast. The Code on Wages 2019 consolidates how many labor laws? That is 4. Who fixes the floor wage? Central government. What is the maximum limit of deductions from wages? Maximum limit for deductions from wages, that is 50%. Next one, who bears the burden of proof for payment of dues? That is employer. What is the minimum bonus under the code? That is 2.33. And what is the maximum? That is 20%. Time limit for wage payment on termination within 2 working days. Penalty compounding rate 50% of maximum fine. That is also given here. What is the maximum limit of deductions from the wages? Can the state government fix minimum wages below floor wage? No. Within how many years can rules be framed after commencement? Within 3 years. Difficulty removal power. Okay. Now what is the wage period limit? Not more than 1 month. After before the 1 month ends, you have to pay the wage to the employee. So that was it. If you need this summary, then you tell me, I'll provide it. And thank you so much for watching this. If there is some incorrect information that I have given you in the flow of reading and explaining, then you can refer to this document once again. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care and subscribe to my channel.